Hi everyone, my name is Trevor Gordon. Today I'm having a chat with a person named Ashley Medeiros. Ashley Medeiros is the founder of It's You by AM, a self-improvement business dedicated to empowering individuals to reach their full potential. Inspired by her own journey of overcoming childhood challenges and embracing entrepreneurship, she created It's You by AM in 2019 to offer a community of support and inspiring products. With a passion for personal growth and a belief in transformation, power of positivity, she's committed to helping others discover their inner strength and achieve their goals. So we're going to be chatting with Ashley, and I see she is ready to join us right about now.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you for doing this. I know you're a very, very busy individual, so I appreciate your time.
No, I really appreciate it. I'm very excited that you're having me here on your what's like segment? Can I say?
Well, I appreciate you doing this. I love the energy you're already bringing into this segment right out the gate. So that actually leads me to my first question. Describe a typical day for you, like starting from morning to when you go to bed. And it doesn't necessarily mean the business side of it, just your day. The reason why I ask you this question is that you always have a smile on your face. And I know you're not a robot. You have your ups and downs just like anyone. So just describe a day for you.
So I'm sure you know, but I lost my job a few weeks ago. So right now my my days are very different from when I start, but I'm making sure that I wake up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, taking a shower, reading my affirmations. I have taped on my mirror, my bathroom mirror. I've been going on lives in the morning, just making breakfast, focusing on my brand, focusing on what I can do, what else I can do, networking with people. Around lunchtime, I'm like, you know what? I got to get out, take my mind off of things. So I go for walks. I've been going on a lot of walks throughout the day, making sure that I, have my breakfast, have my lunch, eating properly, and not being so consumed with my brand and all the things that I want to accomplish, but trying to find this balance, this new balance. It's really important to have balance. If you don't, you're gonna burn out. And there's only one me, so I can't afford to do that. So yeah, that's a little bit about it. Just trying to stay balanced and staying positive.
You touched on something when you were with that answer. Like, how do you balance? Because I know to you and I, social media is important, but how do you also know when to sort of take a break from it? As much as we enjoy technology and we enjoy Instagram and TikTok and all these things, because it helps in our branding or even just with our personal life for a distraction, how do you know when to sort of separate it and just look at the water?
I feel like you have to be very mindful, and if you're not, then you're gonna just ignore all these things that are happening to you, and you're like, well, why? Like, there was a day last week I was battling, like I've been on TikTok live streaming like back to back, like I don't know, maybe 9-10 hours a day on TikTok. And there was a day where I was battling and my eyes just were killing me so much. And like that evening, I was done. I couldn't look at the lights. I was just done. So there's warnings. There's warnings. Your body looks your body looks out for you and speaks to you. So you just gotta be paying attention to that.
In a lot of your content, whether it be on Instagram and TikTok, and before we wrap up, we'll go through all your handles and everything. but you always do these really good self-improvement and positivity type posts. How can people build a supportive community around their own self-improvement goals? Because I kind of tie it into kind of two questions in one there, but it's just, again, your positivity and your content. It's what's sort of your mindset when you create your content?
You know, that's such a great question, Trevor. For me, I go through a lot of things behind closed doors. I struggle so much. I've gone through so much in my life. And you know, there's times where I can't get out of bed. You know, I'm not gonna lie. There's times where I self-sabotage, and one day turns into three, and I'm a ghost. No one hears from me. But the flip side to that is, when I make those specific posts, I'm talking to myself. I'm legit talking to myself, and I'm boosting myself up, and I'm just saying things that I know that I need to hear from someone else.
It's so interesting that you say that, because sometimes when I'm venting to friends, when I'm going through stuff, I always say, I wish I had someone, and this is going to sound a little arrogant maybe, but sometimes I'll say to my friends, I wish I had someone as good as me pushing me, if that makes
Mm.
sense. Like, meaning that sometimes I give advice to other people,
Mm-hmm.
but actually I'm kicking myself when I say this, that sometimes I don't take my own advice. Like, I'll give it to other people, but as I'm saying it to them, I'm just like, why am I not following my own advice? So
I'm
sometimes I just
guilty.
wish I had someone as me kind of telling me these things.
Mhm.
Like, care to comment on that?
It's valid. I was saying, like, I'm guilty of that for sure. It just, for me, you know, something I really struggle with, to be honest with you, is um, external validation. Um, it just doesn't hit the same when I say something about myself, but when other people say it to me, it just carries so much weight. And that's sometimes a good thing and sometimes a bad thing, right? Because if you don't have those supportive people cheering you on and being loud about that, then you're kind of just left like feeling like nothing. You know, all of your accomplishments feel like nothing because you're dependent on um, someone outside of you.
Agreed. Well, then going back to that other question, because and it's my mistake, I kind of combined two questions together, is how can people build a supportive community around their own self-improvement goals? Like, what would you say to offer advice to those individuals?
So the number, oh, sorry, I skipped that. So I know 1000% is being your authentic self. Like just being like you to the fullest, like just not caring what people think, what people are going to say of you, just being so raw. Like so raw. When you press post, when you press like that post button, you're terrified. You're terrified of what people are going to think, what the comments are going to be like, who's going to see it. Just be yourself, literally.
Well, then building on that, what strategies do you use for yourself to stay motivated and inspired on your own self-improvement journey? As you say, sometimes you have trouble getting out of bed, just like anyone. Like, sort of, like, what keeps you motivated?
Uh, um, honestly, daylight. Like I see like a little peek outside the window, like some like sunshine and like just like I don't know, a squirrel or something, and I'm like, oh my God, we're so blessed to have all these beautiful free things that. And then honestly, I see that little thing, and then I also realize that like no one's going, as much as my family loves me, my friends love me, and they're calling me, like no one can get me out of that but me. And then I end up going for a walk and I stare at these trees and I realize how life is so beautiful. and how many beautiful free things we have in this world that we take for granted.
Agreed. Can you share a little bit more into the behind the curtain of your personal journey and then what inspired you to start this self-improvement business, It's You by AM?
I was teased a lot in elementary. It was a really tough time for me. And I remember going home crying, just so upset, feeling terrible about myself. And I never realized this, but I internalized everyone's thoughts and words. I internalized it, and it followed me. And then I was going through a terrible breakup, and I had just lost my job because of COVID. I was laid off, and I was paying rent by myself and all this stuff. And then I realized that, like, the reason why I was in such a terrible place and I felt terrible about myself was because I carried those experiences and those words throughout my entire life, and I never realized it. And I started self-reflecting, and I started filling out like self-love sheets and just doing the inner work. And I started I know this is going to sound really funny, but I started Googling, how do I love myself more? How do I love myself? How do I become happy? How do I become happy again? So then, yeah, that's how that started. And I was just like, and then I realized at that time in 2019, there weren't really any shirts or, items like hats or anything like that that had encouraging sayings. And I was going through such a tough time where I was like, what if we create something that we can wear and it shows that you're strong and you're resilient, and even though you're struggling, I have this hat on and I know that, you know what, even though I struggle or mess up, or I feel like I'm failing right now, I got this to kind of give me that push, you know.
Which you kind of, you stole my next question, but you kind of answered it, was just how did that come up? How did you come up with your idea for your business? But then ultimately, were there any initial challenges that you had when you started thinking about the messages on the merchandise and things like that?
So another thing that I really want to touch on when it comes to my brand and my business, and a big part of It's You by AM is, yes, to offer encouraging pieces, but it's also extremely important for me as a business owner to give back to the community. So important, and that is like, it's like second nature. Like, whenever I drop something, I'm going to somehow find a way to help the community one way or another. And that's just because growing up, I was not wealthy. My family was not wealthy. I grew up with a lot of love, but when it came to, like, finances and things like that, it wasn't smooth sailing. But sorry. Challenges. Actually, yes. There was someone with me. So I did start It's You by AM with a friend, and she just couldn't, she wasn't in a good place mentally. So she decided to part ways with the brand. That was extremely difficult for both of us. But yeah, so that's, that was
But so you didn't have anything other in the sense of coming up with wording or any, or like creative roadblocks or anything like that? That stuff was pretty straightforward for you, or do you
um
sometimes have moments where you're like, okay, what's going to be the next cool, verbiage, or
I'm pretty creative. And I also kind of went back and thought about, like, okay, you can't have everything. You can't have a design that just emphasizes on one thing. So if you notice, some of my designs are like know your worth. I have a self-love club. Then I have a whole be kind design. Then I have the face. where it's like, it's okay not to be okay. So it was just, I think that, like, thinking about like the wide range of like, I want to touch, I want to touch different types of people's hearts. Like, I want to help different types of people that are going through different types of challenges in their life. So, yeah.
Well, touching on what you were going into talking about earlier, let's expand a little bit more. Like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? When you first came out with this vision, was it always in your mind that you wanted to give back, or did that sort of just happen organically? Like, just kind of. And again, I'm blaming this on me of how we're going all over the place with this interview, but there's a reason for my madness. But when you kind of created this vision and using your creativity, was it always in the back of your mind, I'm not just doing this for a business, I'm doing this because I want to give back? Or did it just sort of come to you like, oh, it just makes sense to do this? Like, give me a little bit of the process of that.
So, no, it was, we knew from the moment we started talking about this, we knew, like, no, this is going to be this way. So when we launched, our first item was a tote bag, and it had 3 hearts. And we were able, that was 100% of the proceeds went to Canada Food Banks. So after that, we became affiliated with Loft Community Service. They're a nonprofit in Toronto. So we were linked to them for the first year of our business. And to date now, I've helped 5 different nonprofits with the brand. And it's always been embedded in It's You by AM. My mom was working many jobs. My dad had kidney failure. He did not work. He was on disability. You know, lots of times we would get groceries from St. Michael's Hospital, Christmas gifts from St. Michael's Hospital. So I seen all of this growing up, and it just became, it shaped me. It shaped me as a human. And but I do have to say, I grew up with a lot of amazing memories and a lot of love, a house filled with love and joy. And yeah, so that's why it's been so embedded, like, from the jump, for sure.
So for those that are just joining us, we are talking to Ashley from It's You by AM. The website is called itsyoubyam.com. As you've been talking, I've been sort of scrolling through the merch and everything. I'm seeing a lot of items that's sold out, which is obviously a good thing. Not for me, because there's a shirt that a toque that I've been looking at, but hopefully you're going to get it in stock for me soon. But like, tell me about this site. I can tell you put a lot of love into this website. How many hours do you probably spend on this website on the back end?
It's a constant upkeep, for sure. I definitely designed it and had a lot of things in mind. You know, I think the most important thing when it came to the website was to make sure that when people are on the website, they feel supported if they are struggling, that there's resources, that there's links that they can utilize to, you know, give to someone, or even use for themselves. But in terms of hours, I've had that website since 2019. So it's,
I really love this. I'm totally interrupting you, but
you,
this shirt, I've been looking at this for the past few
it's a
days.
crew neck.
Would you say
Okay.
that this is like your staple item, or what's sort of the most popular item on your site right now?
Honestly, the snapback hat, the male hat, like, well, females can have it too, or whoever, right? Um, that hat, actually, I sold a lot. Yes, that hat, I sold many hats. I sold a lot of those.
And as we're chatting, because this is a formal/informal conversation, but you're getting tons of love from a lot of supporters of yours. And one of your comments is like, "Yes, so comfy. I'm always wearing this hat." You know, a lot of people are saying that they have it in their shopping cart, about to purchase it. So you're getting a lot of support. What would you say is sort of like you said that the trucker hat, that sweatshirt? Is there any sort of other items that you want to talk about while I'm, Googling this website here, like falling in love with every item I'm looking at here?
Um, for right now, nothing. Like really the beanies, the Know Your Worth beanies. I am working on some things in the back end. I am starting to figure out what I can do for Christmas. So on to something else right now, but definitely like, the beanies or the snapbacks and the hoodies are really popular in the winter for sure. So definitely be
So,
revisiting that idea of launching something there.
so as I'm looking at your website, you have this promo right now. If you buy a beanie, you give $5 gift card to a houseless individual. And by the way, I've noticed you use that wording a lot in your social media. I want to take a moment to really share that. I really appreciate that wording. I don't see that type of wording often. What gave you the mindset to use that wording? Because I know you did that by design. So what made you use the word houseless individual?
Honestly, I just don't like the word homeless. It's I don't know if I should say this on here because this is a live stream. It's just kind of degrading to people that are experiencing
Oh,
that.
no, that's your opinion. That's why I asked it. I
Kind of made
appreciate that
me feel,
mindset.
yeah, just kind of made me feel like terrible for them. And either way, you feel terrible for someone who doesn't have a home, right? Um, but it also puts into perspective. Like I think the word homeless, it has been overused, right? That it doesn't hit. It doesn't hit. When you say houseless, I don't know, I just picture it more like in reality. It's so strange. But yeah, so something that I wanted to announce is that that campaign is over. And thanks to everyone, I got so much support and so much love, so many donations, so many purchases. I was able to hand out 103 Tim
Wow.
Hortons gift cards.
Wow.
And I honestly, like it touches my heart. And you'll definitely be seeing content because I did this on Saturday for about an hour and a half, downtown Toronto, like basically like Dundas and Sherbourne area. Um, yeah, and it was a great turnout. I still have like 25 left because I ran out of time. So I will be going on live again sometime this week to hand out the rest. But oh my God, was the turnout just, I did not expect any of that. I'm still floored. I'm still floored and I'm so grateful because we're all struggling right now, especially in Canada, with prices, of housing, of groceries, and you have such generous, loving people who got me there. It's because of them. It's not because of me. It's because of them and their love and their heart.
I know you're being very humble when you say that, but yes, it does take, of course, customers that are spending their hard-earned money, but you're being a leader and not everyone would do what you're doing. So I know you're not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. It does take more than just people being kind enough to buy your merch. It takes a good leader like yourself to do what you're doing.
Thank
My next
you.
question is who is your ideal customer and how do you reach them? Just by interviewing you right now, I'm seeing the positivity in some of these comments that are flooding in. Someone writes, let me know when the hoodies are back in stock. I definitely want to buy one. Someone writes, it's your passion that gets us there, Ash. I'll say it all day.
Oh,
So they're all echoing what I'm saying here, that you know, I mean, I guess they're answering my question for me that these types of customers, you seem to be tapping into the right type of customer.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that was my fault too, because I mean, I got distracted by all these positive comments that are flooding in. But basically, describe what your ideal customer is and how do you reach them?
So on Instagram, it's been a struggle, to be honest with you, um, to grow this page and to find the right customer. Um, and I don't even like to use that word customer. I don't know why. I just feel like the brand is just so different.
Supporters, like
I,
family.
I don't know, but I know that on TikTok, I'm very raw and I'm very open on my lives. And I talk about my own struggles. I talk about, things that I go through. And I'm also very supportive on my lives. So I've never really tried to pitch my brand. It's just something that it just happened naturally. Um, I've been told where it's like, oh, you gotta promote and you gotta do this, but it's just I guess you can say I'm too modest, or maybe where I don't want to do that, and I just kind of let things come as they come. I don't know if that really makes sense or not, but
It does. For those that, I mean, for those that inspire to do something similar or they create their own sort of self-improvement business, what key advice would you offer them?
that's a really, really good question. Oh wow. Think about what is something that would help you through life. Like think about creating something that what can you create that would help you through life? Never mind anyone else. What you okay? Uh what can you create or what can you show the world that will help you and help the world, and also like just balancing, you asked me a question earlier about like what were some struggles that I had, and one struggle that pops up sometimes is, working a full-time job and I can't dedicate my hours to my brand. So I took a couple of breaks, or I wasn't okay mentally. I took another break, so make sure that you're balancing and you're spending time with people who you love while working on the things that you want to build within that business, right?
Again, as you've been talking so passionately and so about this, you know, comments are flooding in about your products. So it kind of leads me to my next question, like what do you see? What's your sort of short term and long term visions of sort of the merch that's coming on that website? Because it looks like items are getting sold out left, right, and center. You know, and with your popular items like the beanie and the sweatshirt, you know, do you have any sort of like long term goals of items that you want to see down the road, or like, any sort of like teasers that you could have people sort of hold their breath on?
A lot of people have been asking me for the matching jogging suits. That's definitely something I want to revisit for sure. But in terms of ideas, not really. And maybe I'm just being greedy and I don't want to share. um, but yeah, in terms of items, I don't really. I think that would probably be the thing, like the track suits, matching track suits. And I do want to maybe launch a few items specifically for men. The manly men or the working type men or whatever, like something along those lines. But a lot of my items, anyone can really wear it, but I think when it comes to, you know, self-improvement and knowing your worth, just encouraging those men that kind of shy away from emotion, to kind of give them something to kind of, you know, give them that push and encouragement.
So you're in the elevator. It's like about, I'd say 60-second, 45-second, 60-second elevator ride, and you're talking to someone for the first time about who you are and your business. What would you say?
That is hard. I would just say I'm a kind soul who's wanting to make a difference in the world, and I'm doing that. I'm trying to do that through my brand.
And your website is?
www.itsyoubyam.com.
And how can people interact with you? You mentioned your website, but you're on Instagram, you're on TikTok. Give us all your socials, because I know there's so many people flooding wanting to get to know you, and they wanna buy some items. I can feel it.
So I'm really active on TikTok. My handle is called The Real Bonita, and my business page is my TikTok business page is It's You by AM, and then my Instagram page is It's You by AM. We're also on Facebook as well. We do have a Facebook page, and yeah, I believe there is like even a collab button on my website. If you scroll all the way down, that's another way that you can get in touch with me. When people join my lives on the Real Bonita page on TikTok, if you're ever going through something, and I say this all the time on my live, if you're ever going through something, message me and I will reply. I do not care what time it is. If I see it, I'm going to reply and I'm going to talk to you about things. I am not a counselor. However, I can be a friend, and I can even give you those supports, like those numbers, those contacts for those supports. And my website, there is a page called Community Love, where there is links that you can click on, you can utilize. Even when you join, when you go onto the website, there is a number that you can text, and you'll get a response from a counselor. So that, I'd rather highlight that. Like that's truly important, because I'm not a counselor. I'm just someone who knows how it feels to be sad and not know what to do next.
Honestly, Ashley, I appreciate you. I thank you for obviously I mean, I found you on TikTok, and the way I found you was just watching you every morning, just getting ready for work and just seeing. I mean, we all get ready to go to work, or we all do our morning routine to start whatever we're doing for the day. But I just found what you were doing in the morning of just so interesting and so comedic, so funny, so positive, so goofy, all wrapped into one. And that was just how I would describe your TikTok account. So if you're not following Ashley's TikTok account, make sure you follow her TikTok account. Obviously, go to her website and buy as many toques as you can, or beanies. I said toques, beanies. But honestly, I really appreciate you. I know you're a busy person. I'm giving you the final word. What would you say to those that have never heard of you before? This is your moment to talk to the internet. What would you give? You have the last word. I will.
Don't let life get you down, and keep reaching for the stars, and never give up on yourself.
Awesome. Again, we're speaking to Ashley. She's the founder of It's You by AM. Her website is itsyoubyam.com. Thank you so much, Ashley. And let's look at the hat you're showing. Let me see the hat. I love it. Awesome. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Trevor. It was a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Bye.